Welcome Aquarius to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 1st of April for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. On the screen now I'm sharing the event chart at midnight on Monday, and we can see that Pluto continues right on that first house cusp. That's giving you a big bolster. It's making you more assured in terms of asserting your individuality, but you also have the point between the moon in the friendly and free-spirited Sagittarius and the sun in the passionate Aries. The midpoint between them, which is the balance of this chart, is in your sign at 19 degrees. So you'll need to be very authentically yourself. Often quite a strong Aquarius need is really emphasized this week, and ironically that midpoint clashes with your modern ruler of Uranus. So it may be by sticking with what you feel comfortable with, or promoting an idea that's unusual, or telling people about the things that you see in the world that are linked to injustices, that could create some tensions with some people close to you who may not want to look at it, who don't have your ability to see the big picture, or you just generally could feel very restless, your nervous system quite wired up. Because the first house is about our body, the fourth house is about our environment. So if your environment is claustrophobic or isn't quite as peaceful as you would like, or you have all the stimulation you need but not the chance to create your own space, all of those things could be a bit of an issue this week. But the moon up in that friendly Sagittarius forges a very good link with Mercury as this week begins in your third house. So the people you do connect well with, the connection can be strong despite the fact that Mercury goes retrograde later on Monday. But let's look at Neptune in house 2. That's squaring up with the moon. That's more complex. If there are people you need to deal with who have different values to you, perhaps going back to that family situation, maybe it's to do with someone you share a home with, such as a flatmate, or it is a friend who you're starting to see you're diverging from in terms of your values, which is what the second house is about, or you feel they take your generosity for granted. That can create a drain on you. So just be conscious of that. However, Mars did move into your second house, where Saturn has created quite an impact over the last year and has given you the determination to get your financial situation back on track if all the costs that we've mainly appreciated have impacted on you quite sharply. And that's great that Mars is doing that. But later on in the week, on Wednesday, Venus and Neptune in your second house meet in a gorgeous way. If you are a creative, your imagination can be working overtime in a really inspired way, and it can give you a sense of enrichment in terms of your self-worth, but it's possible that an idea you've got could be monetized in some way, that phrase that is so common these days. But also, as the week goes on, Mars inches forwards and applies to Saturn. So if you have been experiencing frustration or limitation, that can reach a high point as the week draws to a close. And it could see you feeling penned in, maybe exasperated. You know, if you're not quite getting the job you want, if you're dealing with a landlord that's unreasonable, if the cost of your mortgage is really hard to meet, all of these things can be very claustrophobic. But don't underestimate your fighting spirit, Mars, and ability to stick at things, Saturn. The combination of the two can see you continue to gain traction to sort things out. And also on Friday, one of the most dazzling moments of the whole year, because Venus moves forwards into Aries. Venus in Aries has an appetite, a desire to get things done. It's said it's detrimented. It's one of those essential dignities I like to push back on. Venus here can see you really inspire people with your language or your ideas, or you could connect to someone romantically through your thinking, because it links to Pluto in your sign for the first time in 220 years. Do not underestimate what you've got to say, the value of your ideas, particularly if they are more individual. And then also on Friday, the Sun meets with the North Node, the point of destiny in your third house. Since the North Node, the true North Node, moved into your third house on the 13th of July 2023, your desire to have your voice heard has probably increased. Has it been heard as much as you would like? You've got a fantastic opportunity in the next 6 months to really get to where you want to be. And that's because the Sun also moves forwards and starts to connect to Chiron. So if you have felt unheard, or there's been siblings that were dismissive of you, or neighbours who were rude and uncaring, or you work in an environment where a boss isn't particularly open to some of your brilliant ideas, the life force that you're going to develop towards the end of this week and into the first week, the first day of next week with the total solar eclipse applying to Chiron, is going to be so formidable. So whatever restrictions, limitations and frustrations have presented themselves over the last year, believe me, you're going to bounce back and absolutely dazzle people with the strength of your conviction, your skillful articulation, your wit, your charm. There's going to be a pickup in your social interaction. Expect text messages and emails to be pinging in. Everybody's going to want to talk to you. It's going to be really exciting. But what Saturn has taught you over the last year, and this is really critical, is your self-worth. And with Mars bolstering Saturn at the end of this week, even if it's been painful that other people haven't always got it, you've got it. It's taught you to value money very carefully. Neptune going through Pisces since 2012 may have made you a tad too generous, too compassionate, too giving at times. Saturn's asked you to dig in, be more robust, chip away at things, embrace thrift, make food from scratch, be more inventive with resources. It in itself has been a good thing, even if a difficult thing. So as you go forth with all your ideas, and could be very positive in terms of your love life if you're single and you'd like to meet someone, or in terms of your work, the main thing is to remember what Saturn's taught you about your value. Do not bend on that, because Neptune at the start of this week in that square with the moon could confuse you a little bit. You could be tempted into supporting the situation, which is not good for you. And Mercury going retrograde on Monday suggests that something may need to be rethought. Despite all this third house energy building up, you may have to flex a little bit, go again, reposition, ditch one thing, go with another, adapt something. But it can be fluid, but the overwhelming thrust for you is that over the next half year, you are going to be such a compelling voice and person for people to experience. Have a great week. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've yet to like, comment, share or subscribe, I'd be honoured if you did so now.